is that? Jimmy.
What's up? What's up?
Did I hit something?
What the fuck is that?
Is it flat?
Flat?
What? No.
What the fuck? You better pull over and see.
Yeah.
No. Still alive. No. Fucking piece of shit. God. God. Look at me. Look at my fucking eyes. God.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
I know I'd go from rags to riches.
Hi, I'm Robbie.
I'm Jason.
And the film we're going to be discussing today is Goodfellas, which was written and directed by Martin Scorsese. It was based on the book Wise Guys, written by Nicholas Pileggi.
This film truly is a masterpiece. It's illustrated the true nature of the Italian mafia in 1980s New York through Scorsese's genius directing.
So the first thing we're going to talk about today is our thoughts on the film, whether or not we liked it, and why we liked it, like what made it such an engaging film. And then we're going to go on to discuss the historical accuracy of the film and how Martin Scorsese illustrated the mafia in the 1980s.
We're also going to discuss any inaccuracies about the time period.
And then we're going to go on to discuss how Martin Scorsese created the mood and tone of the film, how he made it such a dark film yet engaged so many viewers to love and respect it.
Interesting elements of narrative? I think so. A tour theory applied to Goodfellas will also be stated in this.
And that's how we're going to finish it up. I personally love this film. It sits in my top 5 films of all time. I believe it delivered a raw, natural look at the mafia in the 1980s. Scorsese creates a film that sympathizes with the mobsters while showing their truly violent and dark nature. This is demonstrated through De Niro's and Joe Pesci's and Ray Liotta's acting abilities, where they are sympathetic characters where we want them to succeed, and yet they are truly violent and pretty crazy people when you think about it. So I believe that this film creates such a fun and exciting film. It's backed by an incredible score where the viewers always kept guessing what's going to happen next. They're always wondering, like, where's the film going, and they want to see more, yet they don't know what's going to happen. And I believe that that makes the audience just love the film. It makes them want to watch it over and over again to understand how the story is told, to watch how the story is told, as it is truly an amazing film. I believe this is Scorsese at his finest work, and it's really one of the best films that I've seen.
Well, Robbie, I completely agree with you. This film, fantastic. Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment in this film. Every inch of time in this film is entertaining, and there's always something to look forward to, keeping the audience in suspense, per se. Right, Robbie?
Oh, I would agree.
From the action scenes to the intense scenes of just people talking, starting from the bottom, now he's here. And, that's how I feel about Henry Hill. Young lad always wanted to be a mobster, now look at him. If that's not inspirational, I don't know what is, personally. Not seriously, but the film was sweet in that tone. I'm not advertising that you should ever become a mobster. Although, I do believe it was very well portrayed, and it should be recognized for its scenes of landmark.
Alright, I believe this film is a fairly accurate representation of the scenarios it illustrates to those watching. It's based off of Nicholas Pileggi's book, Wise Guys, which told this true story of Jimmy Burke, Tommy DeSimone, and Henry Hill, and their work in crime in the 1970s and 80s in New York. These characters were all portrayed by the actors in the film. Jimmy Burke was his alias in the film was Jimmy Conway, who was played by Robert De Niro. Tommy DeSimone was known as Tommy DeVito in the film, who was played by Joe Pesci, and Henry Hill was Henry Hill, played by Ray Liotta. So this film is true to many different scenarios it portrays, one of the most famous being the Lufthansa heist. This is where $6 million, which was stolen from the JFK airport, and today this would be about $21 million stolen from an airport, which was never even thought of. No one ever believed that anything of this sort could happen at the time. And so the film portrays scenarios like this, scenarios such as the heist, other dramatizations in the film, all which are true to life, pretty much.
I found that this film was quite accurate in terms of the realistic approach to the, not modern day, but the 1980s era mobster scene. Based on the book, this film portrays the book in a fantastic way, I think.
I would agree.
With the different scenes in the book, the director, Scorsese, was able to put the great characteristics of the people in the book to the actors in the movie. And this is what I found was quite impressive with this movie. The book literally came to life. How many times have you heard the book is better than the movie, or vice versa?
Many times, especially when you refer to popular books.
Not in this case. Not in this case, Robbie.
No, not at all.
I would have to say that this it was very well portrayed, and he was able to make the book come to life.
Now, while this film was extremely accurate, there were a few inaccuracies, yet not very many that would be noticeable to most people. Well, one thing that stood out to some people who knew about the true people like James Burke and the Henry Hill and Tommy DeSimone, they would know that the actors portraying them did not physically resemble the real people. For example, Joe Pesci is a small guy, and he was portraying Tommy DeSimone, who was a tall, big, and broad guy. As well, one thing that was noticeable was Henry Hill and Ray Liotta's portrayal of him, which many people said was not the most accurate. Henry Hill was portrayed in the film as a well-spoken, educated, tall guy, and in reality, Henry Hill was more of a slob. He was described as being slovenly and not very well-spoken throughout most of his life.
Well, Robbie, frankly, the only thing I could pull out of this old noggin here is we're going back to the old DeSimone situation, which was played by Joe Pesci. Apparently, the non-accurate representation at all. Simone stood at 6'4", and the actor of role, Pesci, was only 5'4". What? What the hell is that about there, Robbie?
Hey, it's all messed up. It's all wrong.
As well, another thing I found is that the film stated that Simone joined the crime group in his late 40s. They didn't state that, but that's the way it fluttered in. And in reality, it wasn't really realistic. He joined when he was in his early 20s, to be accurate, 24 years of age. Right.
Now, while there are these few inaccuracies, we do still find that the film is more historically accurate and more true to life than it is not.
Frankly, this is just dust. Dust in the wind,
So there are many scenes in this film that kind of set the tone and the mood throughout what we're watching. Scorsese does this. He sets out the more of a dark and kind of exciting and intense tone through scenes that are made to both horrify and excite the viewer. The montage of Jimmy's victims set to the song Layla kind of shows the violence, but in a more exciting way, where the viewer is more anticipating to see what's happening. And this is kind of set out through Scorsese's use of the music in the film. So Scorsese uses the music throughout the entire film to show, to set more of a tone, set the tone he wants, make it either exciting tone, darker, or more old-fashioned style. So like the film kind of goes along with the era of time it's in. So it starts off with more 1950s jazz as Henry Hill is growing up, and it shows kind of what he's introduced to. And as the movie continues on, it becomes more rock, more intense. For example, the Sunshine of Your Love scene, as when Jimmy's deciding who he's going to kill. And it keeps going like this to create pretty much an exciting and dark tone, but it keeps the viewer on the edge of their seats and waiting to see what's going to happen.
It's getting near dawn when lights close the tired eyes. I'll soon be with you, my love.
Dramatization on the attitude of the time period is fantastic. The many intense scenes, such as the airplane heist or the $60,000 worth of cocaine that was flushed by the toilet by Henry Hill's wife. I'll tell you, if my wife did that, I'd be pissed off. Not that I'll be, investing in cocaine. It's the fact that you can feel the tension between people, and you can feel the tension in the movie.
Of course.
Although, you as the viewer are always, kind of cheering on, for the guy. You want them to do these bad things, because when they do these bad things, it makes the movie more entertaining.
Yeah, it creates the exciting tone.
Yeah, so it's setting the tone of excitement and suspense. And those are my thoughts, Robbie. So, Robbie,
Jason.
lots of elements of narratives that really stood out in the film, I found.
Oh, I agree. Like, there were many that stood out. What would you say one of your favorites was?
The acting.
The acting.
Robbie.
Really?
I found that the acting really stood out for me.
Oh.
It was just tremendously done.
I would agree. I truly loved the way that Robert De Niro especially portrayed the character of Jimmy Burke. He really tapped into the more animalistic side of a gangster while showing how he can still be a person that can relate to the rest of society.
No, I do agree with you on that. I found that the acting was very well portrayed. They had to hide their biggest life secret.
Of course.
Right? They had to make their lifestyle not be conspicuous. Right?
Oh no, of course.
Per se.
I would say, especially with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci as well, shows how far they're willing to go with their characters.
Yeah, it's things like that really stands out.
As well, relating to acting, I found that the dialogue in the film really stood out as a very prominent part of the film. More so where it made you learn more about the characters. With Joe Pesci, especially the scene when he's messing around with Henry, after Henry calls him a funny guy, he spends about 3 minutes grilling Henry why he thinks he's funny, and it becomes to the point where it's so intense where you think that he's just going to kill him on the spot, right? Yeah, no, it's really things like that makes this film great. It's suspenseful. It really has you on the edge of your chair. As well, so I would say that something that stood out to many other viewers would be the camera movement in the film. Oh, fantastic! Specifically, the following shot to the song Then You Kiss Me, when we first see Henry taking out Karen on their first date. It is the longest and one of the most well-known following shots in all of modern cinema, which continues as one take for about 3 minutes. Yeah, it really showed the emotion. Yeah, it showed how they were feeling at the time. It showed the amount of control that Henry, who was only a 21-year-old kid at the time, had in his life, and how it kind of took Karen back each time. She knows something new. They walked through the entire restaurant and had a table brought out as he was walking to it. It is showing the amount of power that he has as compared to the rest of society. So what do we got here? A tour theory of Goodfellas. Yeah, Martin Scorsese. It's been proven many times that Martin Scorsese is a true auteur. He uses many of his own styles in almost all of his movies to show that show pretty much it's his movie, put a trademark on the film, and it's what he likes to use in his films to express emotion and make the audience feel emotion regarding the film. Goodfellas is one of Scorsese's most Scorseseist film. I like it if you can describe it as that. I'd say that and Wolf of Wall Street kind of show the most amount that a film could be expressed by Scorsese as it is. Goodfellas.
So these are, what you're saying is these are him as films.
Basically, like this is what his mind is like. This is what he loves. Goodfellas pretty much represents it all. It starts with like one of the most basic aspects that he likes to take into his film is crime. Crime is widely shown in Goodfellas as it is.
The whole movie is just a crime.
It is. The whole movie is based on this family, this crime family, and their work. Their work in New York. It pretty much follows them. Many scenes are, what are they going to steal next? Who are they going to kill next?
Exactly. So, no, crime, with his tour is plays a big part.
I agree. And finally, I think one of his most prominent styles he likes to use in many of his movies is the use of an anti-hero. Pretty much. I don't know if you've seen his other films, but he always the protagonist in the film is usually a crappy guy. If you have in Goodfellas, you have Henry Hill, who's the protagonist. The viewer wants him to succeed, yet he is a mobster who steals and kills for a living. You go on to his other films. Wolf of Wall Street, the main guy runs his business completely against the law, steals from poor, hard-working citizens. You keep going. Cape Fear, the main guy, is a rapist, taxi driver. His character, Travis Bickle, is trying to kill a politician. The list goes on.
No, we don't need any of these happy-go-lucky films. Every single film ever made, or every TV show, always has to have, the good guy. And I really like this with Martin Scorsese. He really is interesting because he likes to use the anti-hero, as you said. I find that it changes the pace of films, and it really makes it, have a different perspective on these films, because usually you're cheering for the guy who's good, and he's doing good deeds, but in this case, it's, these mobsters that are committing these terrible crimes and killing people.
He usually paints the good guys as kind.
Exactly, but in this case, as we stated before, you're almost cheering for them in a way,
Right.
You almost want them to get what they want, even though what they want is terrible and illegal. It really proves that he is a true auteur. He, everything that we stated is in this film, and this is what he lives for. And this is what he finds interesting, and this is what he wants to give us as viewers.
I think it works well.
So, Robbie, Goodfellas, what are your final thoughts?
I personally love the film. I thought it was a great expression of Martin Scorsese's work, and it truly showed the more animalistic side of human beings while keeping it personal at points and making the viewer excited to see what was going on. I thought I was staring at the screen the whole time. I thought it was a great movie, one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I'm probably top 3 best movies I've ever watched in my life. I got to be completely honest with you that there, folks. Ms. Retzos, the class that's watching this film, or this little review, I will have to say this is a very good movie. The way that Scorsese portrays the characters and relates it to the book. As I said, he brings the book to life, Robbie. Mm-hmm. To life.
What do you rate it?
Well, Robbie, I'd rate this film at probably a 9.5724 Batman symbol $4. Not to be accurate or anything.
Of course.
Because of the way that the film was portrayed. And I'm sure you could say the same thing.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we'd like to thank you for watching our little video review thing here.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Yep, and toodaloo.